I started playing golf about a year ago, where I started from scratch, never playing this game, to trying to become a scratch golfer. And out of this entire year, I would say that this green reading lesson is one of the top lessons, if not top lesson, that absolutely shaves strokes off my entire game. And for this lesson, I am with one of the greatest putters, caddies, and coaches of all time, Scott Curry. He is one of the original teachers of aim point and has worked with Tim Tucker, former caddy to Bryson DeChambeau and current caddy to Kurt Kitayama. We go over tips and techniques that every golfer needs to know. He gives me the holy grail of markers that I've ever used on my golfing journey that eliminates so many variables in green reading. And if Scott's technique doesn't work best for you, he also goes through various other techniques by the end of the video that you can try to help with your own game. So S2, let's go.
Okay, so Scott, the last time we had a lesson, we mainly focused around like routine, aim, distance control, and a lot of like tips and drills that kind of can get me better in those things.
Yeah.
So I've realized a couple things. It's a lot easier when I could like pace my putts and figure out how far exactly the distance is. And from there, I've just been calibrating like how far I need to go back on my backswing to get there.
Good.
That's been good. The line, we've added a line for everyone who's kind of new here. I started putting with a line, and initially it didn't like work for me like before I met you, because I would look at this line, think it's good, and then putt it, and it would be off. But you gave me this pretty awesome mechanism where I could kind of align it with my putter,
Yeah.
and then kind of just determine that this is like where I'm aiming.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's worked a lot. Aim's been good. But obviously, we haven't gone through green reading, so I've been guesstimating since then. The one thing that you've identified last time that I've been doing was that I hover the club a lot. And for me personally, it's been good for like ease, but it's been sporadic in regards to like the face, because sometimes I'm a little unstable or whatever it may be. You kind of told me off camera, maybe we could talk to the viewers on like how we could potentially mitigate that. But that's where I am right now. Yeah.
Good. So let's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find out how your aim is. So I want you to tell me where you're trying to hit it. I want you to put this quarter down where you're trying to aim it.
Okay. Right here?
Okay, so you're reading it right there?
Yeah.
Okay. And now I want you to tell me if the line is lined there.
I would say this is like a little bit left of it, like a fraction.
Let's fix it.
Yeah.
Right? We're trying to make it. You've gone through the trouble of feeling it with your feet a little bit, creating a read. Well, now we need to make sure we're aimed at the spot you intend to. Otherwise, what good does your read?
Yeah. All right, so this is a little bit inside, but I actually want to aim it there.
You like this read?
Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
maybe like right here, potentially.
Good. So it's aimed exactly at that quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your read. You pace it off, you know how far it is. Did you establish uphill, downhill?
Oh, yeah.
Because again, if you're gonna take your time to pace it off and you're gonna take this time to get information, let's use it. So if you said this was 15 feet, well, and you have a stroke that goes 15 feet, are you saying that this putt is playing 15 feet? Is it playing 14? Is it playing 16?
Yeah.
What do we do to get to that final answer so that we have more confidence when we hit the ball?
Yeah, so it's going a little downhill from this way.
Okay.
Probably gonna hit it like a little past the hole, maybe 16.
So you think it's a little uphill?
I think it's like uphill, but it's like uphill.
Uphill, side hill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hit a 16 footer from 15 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was far. That was way farther than I thought.
So what did we learn?
I learned that was probably like a 9-foot putt.
Yeah, so the putt is actually indeed downhill.
Yeah.
Right? And that's good though, because today that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about green reading, which includes understanding uphill, downhill, left to right, right to left, and the whole deal.
Yeah.
So before we get into green reading, we're going to talk about this marker. So I've told you a little bit about this in the past.
Yeah.
And this one is for you. And so this is True Aim. This is a marker that was invented by Tim Tucker, current caddy for Kurt Kitayama, former caddy for Bryson. Arguably the best green reader that I know. Like, the guy is unbelievable when it comes to reading putts, right? I worked with him for years, actually. We used to fit putters, and we taught aim point together a long time ago. And he kind of took the idea of green reading to the next level. And what he did is he created this marker that simplifies everything, right? What it does is it takes variables out when we're putting. So people kind of have choices when they want to learn how to read greens. They could read them naturally without any technique. Their technique could be their own. It could be, I'm going to look at this putt and I see this breaking 8 inches because I've seen this slope before and I believe it's 8 inches.
Yeah.
And the more somebody saw the same slope and the more somebody was able to aim 8 inches, the better they're going to get.
Yeah.
They're going to be really good on a putt that has this exact amount of slope. And there is validity to that. I mean, some of the best green readers in the world, in the history of golf, use no technique. So I'm never going to tell somebody, hey, let's take away your feel, let's get rid of that, and let's strictly go with the technique, right? I'm never going to tell them that. I'm going to tell them to, hey, like, it's awesome that you're a great green reader. Do you ever misread putts? And the answer is going to be yes.
Yes.
It's going to, everybody, like literally everybody, right? And so what happens is like, well, what can I do to what can I add in there to maybe misread one less putt around? Okay?
Yep.
So he designed this marker, and a lot of people initially thought it was this super complicated thing, but how it works is, so let's use this putt as an example. We're gonna aim our ball straight at the hole. So let's just start there. So I know it goes right to left. We just hit this putt.
Yep.
But I want you to aim it dead straight. And I'm just gonna kind of walk you through how it works. Then we're gonna talk about percent of slope. We're gonna walk around the green and we're gonna pick some putts and we're gonna hit some and we're gonna learn.
A little bit more.
It's all right. It's all good. And again, this is part of the learning process, right? The more you aim, and especially the more you aim straight at the hole,
Yeah.
the easier it's going to get. There will come a time where the more you do this, you put your ball down, you don't even necessarily need the shaft. The shaft is just there for confirmation. It's like, okay, I think that's straight. Boom, check it. Yep, it's straight. Done.
Okay, pretty sure this is straight now. Yeah.
Okay, let me take a peek.
Maybe a fraction left.
No, I agree. I think it's great.
Okay.
So the way the marker is designed is, see the long black line in the middle?
Yep.
That line represents straight.
Okay.
That helps us create a baseline. So what I want you to do is just put your marker down and just match the long straight line with the line on your ball. Just match the two lines.
Okay.
Okay, so now what happens is we can pick up our ball. So our marker is aimed straight at the hole right now, okay?
Yeah.
We've created a baseline. So now when reading this putt, we talk about percent of slope, right? It's like, okay, you see what you see with your eyes, you see it at that coin, right?
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. You've never worked with percent of slope as far as 1, 2, 3, 4, correct?
Nope.
And we're gonna work our way into that. And in order to do that, what I would ask you is, do you think that this putt, based on all your history of golf so far, breaks a little bit or a ton?
A ton.
A ton.
Yes.
This putt breaks a ton.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
So,
Based off that last putt, maybe.
well, we did hit that a little hard, but
Yeah.
So,
Or maybe not.
yeah, well, I mean, again, like we talk about slope in numbers, 1, 2, 3, or 4, but we can also quantify them as, does this putt break a little bit, a medium amount, a lot,
Yeah.
or a ton, right? Which would equate to essentially 1%, 2%, 3%, 4.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ball down. You said you think it breaks a ton. So I want you to look at where this line is and tell me if you think that's the right read. So I'm just going to match it up with the most break currently on the marker. So then take a step back and look how far right that is of the hole.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's too much, agreed?
Yeah.
Great. And so this is where the marker does not take away your current feel. Okay, so that's too much. Okay, so now that was a ton. We're going to go less. So let's start over. Does this putt break a little bit, medium, a lot, or a ton? You already said no to a ton, so that's out. So
Yeah.
now, does it break a little bit, a medium, or a lot?
I think it's going to be a little bit or a medium between those two.
Okay,
Somewhere.
perfect. So let's start at average or medium, which would be essentially a 2% slope, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to match it up with the second line from center. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and take a look at where that is aimed.
I think that's good.
Okay, you think it's good. Perfect. What we're gonna do is we're gonna learn. So you're gonna hit it, and we're gonna find out how good of a green reader you are just based on your definition of percent of slope. We know it's 15 feet, we know it's playing downhill this time, so we're gonna obviously hit it a little softer. Good, how do we do?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Perfect speed, right?
Yeah.
we may have underread it. Maybe it was between a medium and a lot.
Yeah.
You know, but the goal is to learn. So what the marker does and where it thrives is it allows you to learn, because the variable that it takes out is exactly how far out to aim the ball, right?
Yeah.
If we aim our ball straight at the hole and we decide that it's breaking an average amount right to left, and we line it up on that, we don't have to know how many inches that is outside the hole.
Yeah.
And that's why this technique of reading putts is good for most people, because it takes variables out, right? There, and every technique for green reading is amazing. Let's just make sure that we understand that. Aim point, amazing. Tour read, amazing. True aim, amazing. Vector, amazing. Like they're awesome, like all of them. But for the average player, what can we do to take out all the variables, right? And so the marker aims you. It's a tool. It doesn't read the putt for you, right? You had to read that putt.
Yeah.
You originally read it and you put it on a lot, which was out here.
Yeah.
Right? So the marker is essentially just a tool. And the goal is for you to have a ton of tools that you can just dig in and you can pull out whenever you're on the green. The goal isn't for somebody to come in and say, hey, here's a marker to help you aim when reading putts. You have to use it every time.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. The goal is for you to create these tools that you have that, depending on the putt, depending on how you feel, depending on where you are, you're able to pull tools out of your tool bag and put them into play, right? So that was a very, very small example, but now what we're gonna do is we're gonna test you.
So I'd say that's a little bit uphill, and it's like a little bit to medium, break to the left.
Perfect. So that's your initial read. So next you would put the line between the first and the second line. There's a sliver in there of silver, and you just kind of try to put it as best you can between the two lines.
All right, I think that's good.
Okay, don't pick it up yet, take a look. Confirm that that's also very close to what you see. Now, is it always gonna be the same? No, absolutely not. What we're gonna find is you might be better at reading percent of slope than you are reading amount of break. Does that make sense? So you might only see it here, but then you read it on a 2 and it might be here. And you might find that your reading on percent of slope, how much slope there is actually better than your eyes.
Okay.
And that's the whole goal is for you to create your own green reading system that uses the tools that you are given and create your own system. I don't want to tell you what to do.
Gotcha.
I want to give you the tools to do whatever works best for you. Okay. A little short, probably a little tentative after those last couple
After that
putts.
one, yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
makes
okay.
sense. How do you think your read was?
I think if I hit it 17, it would have been pretty good.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think you had a great read. And so again, it's really important to be able to combine what you feel, what you see, and what you deem percent of slope, whether you use percents or you use amounts, a little bit, medium, a lot, a ton. However, you can define them however you want to. That's up to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people have different ways of getting started. Some may do this. So for instance, let's say I were playing.
Yep.
And I hit the green.
Yep.
I would mark my ball and then I would pace it off. I got 7. I would walk over here. I like to reverse the putt.
Yeah.
So this becomes the ball, that becomes the hole, and just quickly I just read it backwards. If I were putting my ball to the hole opposite, what would it be? And I look at it, I pick a number in my head, I'm like, okay, I got it. I walk back, and at this is the point where I'll line my ball up straight at the hole, right? So then I'll line it up, I'll get down here, I'll check it with my eyes, I'll get it as close as I can with my eyes. So that looks pretty darn good with my eyes, and then I'll just confirm it. And I'll be like, okay, that's perfect. Then I'll flip the marker over, and in my head, I already have an idea. I already have an idea of what it's doing because I read it from behind, right?
Yeah.
Now what I'll do is I'll try to confirm what I saw, or take more information in and say, okay, well, I saw it on, say, a 2 from there. Do I agree that it's a 2? And then I'll look at it and be like, you know what? I think I actually see a little more from here. Then I would get down here. I would put it where I want to test it. I would go right there. I would look at it, and I would either say, okay, yeah, you know what? I like that, or I don't like it, and I'm going to move it again.
Yeah.
And then, but it's kind of a streamlined thing. So if I liked it, I'm done. I pick my marker up. I line my putter up. I hit it.
Okay.
Done. I don't want you spending so much time out here.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the goal. This is a tool that theoretically should speed us up.
Yep.
You know, this isn't something that would slow us down. This is something that would say, okay, I got information from that side, I got information from this side, and there's more that we'll talk about in a minute, getting information from here, from over there, everywhere.
Yeah.
But the goal is for it to speed us up, because all we're doing is aiming our ball straight and then aiming it on our intended line, which the tool helps us do.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's try it. I want you to walk through the whole thing. So perfect. Now take a look. Just a quick, like, just to get a little feel, right?
Yeah. So I got 20 feet.
Okay.
Right to left, maybe like.
And just so that we all know, from the other side, in your quick assessment, what did you decide?
Like slope wise?
Yeah.
Like 1.5.
1.5. Okay, great. So in your head, you have that number.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like you've kind of created this baseline in your head of like, okay, I see a 1.5.
Go here.
Yep. And I would, from now, I would put it on a 1.5 and check it.
Yeah, 1.5.
Yeah. And check it.
Yeah.
You comfortable with it?
I think I'm good.
Okay. So knowing that,
Got it.
you have 20 feet. What kind of speed would you like to hit it with?
Like 16.
Okay. Good.
Maybe 15.
Yeah. I like it. So from here, it's just simply aiming your putter on line with the line on the ball, committing to a speed. And that's it. Okay, good. So what did we learn?
That it's a lot more sloped.
It's way more.
It's like over
and
there.
So now we get back to information, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways to do this. And so I worked at Bandon Dunes as a caddy for 20 years, right? And the caddies up there are, in my opinion, the best green readers in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason is because the top caddies are all carrying 2 bags, right? We're working twice a day.
Yeah.
And we need to keep our golfers on pace.
Yeah.
We need to get them around that golf course as fast as we can, right? Because we don't want to slow the course down.
Yeah.
Well, what happens is we've got to create our own unique ways to read putts, right? I've got to read the putt from, see this practice green over here?
Yeah.
I need to be reading the putt from here, even though the green is over there. So as I'm walking and all the caddies there are walking, we're literally looking at the green, figuring out what the putt is doing, right?
Oh, dang.
We started about probably 50 yards from the green, understanding. This has started 20 years ago, day one, right? All the top caddies. It's like, okay, well, how can we be more efficient?
Yeah.
Well, what we learned is we can be more efficient simply by understanding why the green does what it does.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So like if you look at a low spot in a green, you would find dead spots, for instance. You would find dead spots on the lowest point of the green because when they turn the sprinklers on, the water sits in that spot longer and it doesn't drain as well. Mm-hmm. Well, we would know, like, if there was a low spot over there, that at some point our ball would be going that way.
Yeah.
Very easy, right?
Gotcha.
It's common sense, but at the same time, like, we had to go out there and we had to go as fast as we could and read putts as well as we could from a distance.
And this level of detail that Scott holds and is willing to share with me has been such a privilege. And lessons like these with the greatest golf coaches in the entire world has been the biggest contributor to my quick development as a golfer. So now I'm trying to give this opportunity that I've had to all of you. In the next couple of weeks, we will be coming out with the Academy, where all students will have access to get a lesson from the absolute greatest coaches of all time, like I have. There is so much more gold at the end of this video, especially when we go through other niche putting techniques you can try out yourself. But after, go to caddyai.io, go to the Academy tab, and sign up for the waitlist. I'm so happy to be bringing this to all of you, and hopefully this will bring you even more value on top of my videos. So please subscribe and like to get more updates on Caddy AI and more quality content like this in the future. But until then, let's get back to the show.
So I want you to come over here. All that being said, I want you to come over here. So let's say that we hit the green from these sprinkler boxes and we walked up to the green.
Yeah.
Look at the slope right now. Do you see how uphill it is from here to the line that you'd be hitting it on?
Yeah.
Pretty significant, agreed?
Yes.
Just getting this information would tell us there's no way that that's a 1.5, right? Because again, we're talking a little bit to medium amount of break. Well, this is more than a little bit uphill. This is significantly uphill. Your line from us is probably 18 inches above us.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant considering we're only 10 feet away from your line.
Yeah.
Right? That means the slope is going up probably 2.5%.
Yes.
Right? That little bit of information would have said, okay, you know what? This putt is more than a 1.5.
Yeah.
And the same could be said from here. And you see a lot of people look at it from the side, but it's important to make sure that they know what they're looking at correctly, right? So for instance, am I higher? Am I above you or below you?
You're above me.
Agreed. So if I was standing here, I would be looking at how downhill the putt would be if I were putting across the slope that I'm putting on.
Oh, I see.
See, so like if I knew that this putt going down the slope was super fast, then obviously this putt would break quite a bit.
Yeah, that's
right.
Makes sense.
So again, we're gonna go to. I don't ever want to just hit the same putt over and over again because I feel like that takes away from the learning.
Yeah.
But what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here and find something fairly similar. So we're gonna go to the same hole.
And quick question.
Yep.
How do you determine? Say I'm now like 3 degrees to the right.
3%.
3%. How do you determine like, all right, this is how much I have to hit it? Like 20 feet, 25 feet?
Oh, for uphill and downhill?
Yeah.
That's a complicated question. There is an answer.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't really like to talk about because I think it adds too much. The step right now is really just to learn how to use the marker, right? We're going to use the marker. It's going to teach us where to aim because it's a tool to help us aim, right? Mm-hmm. Then the next step, we can start talking about stuff like that. We can talk about double breakers. We can talk about the difference between an uphill putt and a downhill putt and how that affects break.
Yep.
But we are not there.
Okay.
Right? Cool. It's kind of like how we started with setup and aim. Then we moved on to distance control last time.
Cool.
Now we're moving on to green reading, right? And green reading is, to me, the most intricate, difficult part of putting.
Okay.
Because there is so much going on.
Yeah.
For instance, like, let's say you use the marker on this putt. And you told me that this is a medium, an average amount of break, a 2% slope. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing is, that's an overall number. It doesn't mean that it's 2% right here, 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 2% right here.
Yeah.
And this is why green reading is so hard, because what if I told you this right here was a 3, this right here was a 1, this right here was a 2.2, this right here is a 0.8, and this right here is a 1.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to sit there in your head and you'd have to dumb it down. You'd have to be like, okay, well, if I take all those numbers and I add them up and I divide them by 5, because I did it 5 times or however many times I did it, right?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work that way because where the slope is matters on break. So for instance, if there was a higher slope here and a lower slope at the end, it wouldn't break as much because you're hitting it hard through this initial part.
Yeah.
And the end of it is fairly straight.
I see, yeah.
Now the opposite is if it was a 1 here, but was a 3 at the end,
Yep.
then it's going to break more because when the ball slows down, that's where the most break is. And this is why it gets so complicated. And this is literally why we have to do it in steps.
Yep.
You have to just, for now, say, okay, overall, this looks like a 1, 2, 3, or 4, or small amount, average, a lot, or a ton. For now.
Yep.
This is where we start. Then you get better. And you're like, okay, you know what? You know what I find is I'm really good on the 2% slopes. I'm struggling a little bit on the 3, so on and so forth.
Yep.
Then what happens is we're able to now dial it in and fix exactly what you need.
Gotcha.
But until we get to that point, you're not at the level to say, I see this between a 2 and a 3. Like right now, I mean, I kind of just gave you a little information, but if you looked at it, you probably wouldn't see the same thing I do.
No.
And yet I do this every day,
Yeah.
right? So we're gonna even though I already kind of get
we should go to a different hole.
all right, fair enough. Let's go to a different hole. Let's go over here. Let's go to we'll go to a left to righter. We've kind of had some fun with some right to lefters.
Would you say like a basic level, if I were like things were relatively constant in regards to degrees, and this was say 15 feet straight ahead, and it was 2 degrees, which would amount
2%.
Sorry, I keep saying degrees. 2% to the right, which would be maybe like 3 feet or something. Would it just, if we to super dumb it down, would it just be like the hypotenuse of a triangle, and you'd be like, oh, okay, the distance I would have to hit to get this is.
That's a good question. So
that angle, that number.
One of the most important parts about the reason the green reading comes after distance control is because if you can't control distance, then who cares about your read?
Yeah.
Every green reading technique currently is designed at 12 to 15 inches by the hole. And, Dave Pelz did studies years ago that said the perfect putt goes 18 inches by if you miss it. And that's changed a little bit because green surfaces have gotten smoother. And you haven't played golf long, so you didn't play golf 20 years ago when the surfaces weren't as good as this. 20 years ago, the average green, I mean, like we punched these greens a month ago. they're not fully healed, right?
Yeah.
But this would have been an incredible green 20 years ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, this green's even punched right now. It's rolling at an 11.
Yep.
Like this would have been like, man, this is awesome. 20 years ago, especially in San Diego County, you would have gone to a few different golf courses where the greens were the best out of all of them, and then the rest of them were just your average greens. You know,
Yeah.
they rolled it like a 10. They were a little bumpy, but then what's happened is, and maybe it's more than 20 years ago. Maybe I'm trying to act like I'm younger than I am, but maybe it's 25 years ago. Maybe it's closer to 30 when Dave Pels did this. I mean, he did this study a long time ago. But the point is that greenskeepers, they've gotten better. Course maintenance, it's gotten better. Lawnmowers, they've gotten better. Our ability to save grass when it starts to die, it's gotten better. And so instead of it being a 1.5 foot by, where we take into consideration all the imperfections in the green and what speed we'd have to hit the ball to maximize the width of the hole, now it's actually gotten shorter because there's less imperfections in the green. So now we're able to hit it a little softer and not worry about it bumping, right? So, and I'm sure you've seen it. Have you ever heard of the lumpy donut?
Yeah.
So all that stuff kind of applies. Well, the better the green, the less that applies. So 12 to 15 inches by is the speed that we're going to read every putt on. And the reason that matters is, let's say that I'm playing in a tournament and I have this putt and I read it on a 2. Let's say I read it on a 2 and it's 15 feet and I say it's breaking 17 inches left to right.
Yep.
Okay. If I were to change my speed every time I had this putt, think about how many reads I'd actually have to have for the same percent of slope.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
But if I read every putt a foot to 15 inches by, my reads now can become more consistent because I'm not reading different speeds, therefore I'm not reading different breaks.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the person who says, you know what, I'm going to hit this 5-footer, I'm going to hit this firm. Well, that's fine, but what you're doing is you're changing the actual read of the green.
Yeah.
Right? So if I hit it firm, let's say I decide I'm going to hit this left edge and firm, well now I'm making my hole smaller because the harder I hit it, the smaller my hole is getting, right?
Yep.
Not only that, but now if I'm in a tournament and I have this putt later on in the round and the first hole I decide to hit it left edge and firm,
Yeah.
but then fast forward to the 17th hole and I'm tied for the lead, there's no way I'm going to hit it with the same speed because now I'm going to have fear of 3-putting, whereas the first hole or second hole, I don't have any fear.
Yeah.
Well, by doing that, I don't have the actual read of this putt because I controlled how much it was going to break by hitting it hard earlier.
Yeah.
If we can just consistently read every putt with 12 to 15 inches by, we only need one read for every percent of slope that we deem.
Yep.
Right?
Got it. So it's pretty, I would say, going downhill here a little bit, but it's relatively flat in a sense, like slightly.
Going down, this putt's downhill?
Sorry, it's left to right.
Okay.
Agreed. And it's slightly flat.
Okay. When you walk to it, do you feel like you're going uphill or downhill? Let's walk back. Walk back to the marker. Tell me if you're going uphill or downhill.
I feel like it's slightly downhill this way.
Okay, good. I would agree.
Yeah.
I think that putt plays a little bit uphill.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a little less than 15 feet.
Okay.
So probably play it 15 feet.
Okay.
And then aim a little left.
So you walked over there after you paced it off and you read it backwards. What'd you see? Let's just go percent of slope. Let's try percent of slope. What did you see? 1, 2, 3, or 4? And it's not, you don't have to be right?
Yeah. I would say, again, probably like 1.5.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So aim your ball at the hole.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good. And that'll start to happen, right? The more you aim, you didn't even need to move it.
Yeah, it was
You
great.
put it down, you looked at it, your eyes now are going to adjust and start to learn how to aim. Boom.
Then 1.5.
Yep. Okay, so now step back
Right
after you get it.
there.
Now take a look.
I think it's okay.
You like it?
Yeah, I'm debating like if it's 2,
Okay.
but yeah, I think I'm gonna go 2 actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Ooh.
Pretty good putt.
Yeah, not bad.
I would say, so
Decent.
we're all about learning, right? We're all about understanding why we miss or why we make it.
Yeah.
Why would you deem you missed that putt?
I think I didn't have the pace that I personally want. I think I was a little slower on. I think I gave that like 14.3 13 versus like my 15. But
Yeah, I mean, again, though, if our goal is 12 inches and you hit that ball 11 inches, I mean, we hit a pretty good putt,
yeah,
right? How was your stroke? Did the ball roll perfect?
it was okay.
It was okay. So
Yeah.
I would say it was, I'd give it probably like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So I would tell you that you probably missed that putt because of your putting stroke.
Yeah.
Your speed was good. I don't have any problem with the line. I think the ball started a little right, and we saw the line, not straight.
Yeah.
I think you missed it because of stroke. Now, if you're able to say that,
Yeah.
and you play a round of 18 holes, and you're able to remember why you miss each putt, then we're able to work on that next time I see you. We're able to fix it, right?
I definitely didn't feel it off the front of the face. It was like a little bit over
Yeah, it
here.
was a little heely.
Yeah,
exactly.
heely. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Cool. Let's do another one. Now, we talk about information, right?
Yes.
Putting is all about information. So one thing that I want to add is, one thing that I do, and I think that, and I teach a lot of my students this because I think it's super important, is let's say that I were playing, whether I have a technique or not, this is super valuable from a green reading standpoint. Let's say I have this putt. We all focus on what we don't know. If I had this putt, I'm like, man, I don't know what this is doing, right? This happens all the time. You get out there and you're like, I don't know what this is doing.
Yeah.
Well, instead, what I try to do, and this goes back to the Bandon days, is figure out a putt that you do know what it's doing, right? And this really applies when you're near straight. So the hardest putts to read are when they're very straight, when there's not definitive break, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at a putt and you're like, gosh, I see this thing. It looks like it could be left edge. And then you take a step over here like, oh, this could be right edge, right? Those are the hardest. So what you do is you find obvious break. So for instance, on this putt, we know this goes left to right. Agreed? Take a look. We know it goes left to right. So now what we would do is we'd work off of what we know. So we'd walk back, be like, okay, we knew that went to left to right. Well, if we don't see it going right to left somewhere in here, or straight,
Yeah.
then it's probably still going left to right,
Yeah.
right? Again, very basic, but very helpful on those times when you don't know what it's doing. So that's one way. Another way is to say, well, if we were on a single plane green, and what that would mean is, so there's 3 types of greens really, from a whole green standpoint, is this would be what's called a planar surface. Okay, so picture a piece of glass, we tilt it on its side. There's a hole in the middle.
Yeah.
There'd be a straight putt going straight uphill. There'd be a straight putt going straight downhill.
Gotcha.
What that would mean is if this were the surface and this were the hole, right? So this is your ball, this is the hole.
Yep.
We would work, it would be right to left, all the way over here, right to left to here. It would be left to right, left to right, left to right, all the way to here. Remember how up there I showed you how there's not a lot of constant break. There might be a 2% here, then like for instance, there might be a 2 here, then a 1.5 here, then a 3 here.
Yeah.
On a full planar surface, the actual slopes would be constant.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
would be constant the entire way.
Yep.
Right? They would either grow together or shrink together.
Yep.
They'd be the same. But what happens is especially on practice greens, you can see all kinds of different slopes in here, right?
Yeah.
Tons. So you have all these different slopes flowing into it, and it's never just this. It's never just, you're never going to find a green that's just back to front and the pin straight in the middle.
Yeah.
You're just not, right? But let's say that this area, our little area that we're in for this putt actually is that way, right? Because this putt goes left to right, agreed?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say that you read this putt and you didn't use any technique and you're like, oh, I see this a cup left to right.
Okay.
Well, from the same distance, for that putt to be straight, this would be a cup right to left.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, exactly.
So, just out of curiosity, what do you think that putt does? Take a look at it, and then do what I said. So just your eyes. Forget percent of slope, forget all that stuff. What do you think? Which way does it go?
Oh man, it kind of looks straight to me.
It does look straight, so that's good. So
Yeah.
now I want you to figure out, does this putt go left or right?
By just looking at it?
Yeah, just looking at it.
Oh, it kind of looks straight to me, but...
Okay,
you
then
know,
come
it
over
goes
here.
left.
Get to a point where you know it's not straight. Does that putt still look straight?
I think it's a little bit like this.
Okay, feel it then.
Up there?
Use your feet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. Let's go back to here then. Feel that.
Up here. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So originally you deemed this straight, right?
Yeah.
Well then, I want you to feel this putt now. Go ahead and feel it again. In order for this to be straight, you would have to feel the same amount right to left as you felt left to right here. Do you?
No, this is going left to right.
Then we know for sure that this putt goes left to right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And again, is that an exact science as far as how much it breaks? Absolutely not. But what it does is it gives you definitive information on which way the putt's going. So, and again, the only times that most of us will misread the direction is when we're near straight.
Yeah.
When we're near a putt where we don't see definitive break. Most people aren't going to misread the direction on this putt. You know what I mean? Like, we're standing on the side of a hill. We have a giant hill going this way. Most people aren't going to look at this putt and be like, I don't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
Most avid golfers, people that play consistently, they're just not. They're not going to look at this putt and be like, I don't know what it's doing, right? Because it breaks a ton.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not going to do it on a putt like this. However, the closer you get to straight, the more important it is to know A, where the straight putt is, and B, make sure you never misread the direction, because we shouldn't be misreading the direction.
Yeah.
Because again, it's all about information, right? So if I got information from here and I read it and I'm like, okay, I see this putt straight, well then I know that goes right. Because again, we're low straight is a channel.
Yeah.
So any putt to the right of this ball would go left, and any putt left of this ball would go right. Right?
Yeah.
Those are just important pieces to get information. And you could also use it in the sense of, let's say you were right here and you read this on, say, a 1.
Yep.
Okay, well, if that's a 1, then this is going to be more.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And this would be less. So if you're going to deem that this is a 1% slope, then you better be sure that this is less than a 1. Because if you came over here and you're like, oh, I see this a 1.
Yeah.
Well, then that's most likely more than a 1. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So again, in my mind, it's just purely get as much information as you can to make the best decision so that you have less doubt and you're going to hit a better putt.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
Let's do one more here. So let's just start, and then we'll talk about this slope. So this is a bigger slope. So I want you to read it on a bigger slope.
Just put it here?
Yep. So we'll just walk right into it.
Okay, cool. This is 15 again.
Yep. So we have more slope
Yeah, this is like,
to try to kind of test you and kind of see what we've learned so far, right?
yeah.
Because the goal is to increase our ability to feel slope, see slope, understand slope. And this is why when we're on a practice green, so when you're practicing putting,
Yeah.
we don't always need to do this to a hole. What I'd like to do, and I like to see my students do, is just kind of put a tee in the ground,
Yeah.
take a couple steps back, get a feel for what the percent of slope is, and then test yourself. Put your ball down here, aim it at the tee, and hit a putt. And, get a feel. Like if you were like, okay, I see this a 4, and you were to hit it. Like, okay, perfect. And let's say it gets near the tee. Well, you realize, okay, I'm seeing slope well today.
Yeah.
It's kind of like preparing for a round of golf, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you went to a new golf course, there's a lot of things you can do on the practice green before you play to be super prepared for the actual round of golf.
Got it.
Our eyes see slope differently based on the color of the green.
Yeah.
Now, it's not 100% that people see more slope on dark color and less slope on light. It's individual to you, but you may see more slope on these greens, and then we might go play Mission Trails and you see way less slope
Yeah.
because the greens might be a different color. Well, how do you negate that?
Yeah.
You learn. You get prepared on the practice green to make sure that you're seeing slope and feeling slope the same way. It's kind of like soft greens.
Yeah.
Like if you went and played Singing Hills right now, and it rained a couple days ago, and the greens are super soft, well, you might not have as much feel in your feet because you're actually sinking down into the green. It's like, okay, well, I better learn that on the practice green. I better not get on the first hole, take a step, and not know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, let's learn. Let's make sure that we're prepared before we ever go play.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we'll talk more about the preparation, but okay, so more slope. You felt it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna aim our ball straight at the hole.
I'm going to go like 3.
Start at a 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Maybe 3.5.
3.5.
Let me see.
Yeah. The beauty is the tool is just there to help you aim, right? So you put it on a 3, you look, if you like it and you want to commit to it, then you should have confidence because that tool will help you aim where you want it to, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, play it a little more, play it a little less.
I'm going to play 3.
Play it 3?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we're playing at a 3. How many feet? How many paces?
So this is 15 feet.
Another 15 footer. Yeah. All right, fair enough. 15 footer, but is it uphill or downhill? Are you taking steps uphill or down? Just walk to the hole again.
I know this is going down, but like from here to here, I think it's uphill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the slope this way is brake, right?
Yeah.
But the slope as we walk to the hole is speed.
Yeah. We're gonna play 20.
Okay. 15, we're playing at 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll play 20.
Okay. Would you say that you hit that 20, or do you think you were a little tentative?
I was definitely tentative.
Okay. How'd you do on the read, you think?
I think it could have gotten there if I had a 20.
I think the read was great.
Yeah.
So again, it's about, okay, we missed that putt for one simple reason, speed.
Yeah.
That's it, right? So then it's like, okay, let's say that this was your pattern and you continued missing putts short.
Yeah.
We need to get back to the ladder drill,
Yep.
and we need to assign a number to how far we're hitting it and create a feel, right? So that we know, okay, this stroke goes so far, but I also want you to see it, right? If I had a putt from here and I knew it was 10 feet, I don't just want to get locked in to say this stroke goes 10 feet. I want to have a stroke that goes 10 feet, but I also want to see it and feel it.
Yeah.
Because I don't just want one, right? The goal is to have both and say, okay, this is what a 10-footer looks like. This is what a 10-footer feels like.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
When you're like putting, would you say you're big on like visualization? Like, oh, this is the line, and I can see it, and this is how I'm going to hit it exactly? Or are you more
So yes, but it's all based on starting line, right?
Yeah.
So yes. So like, let's say this putt, I had this putt and I picked a starting line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am watching what the ball, in my mind, I'm making sure that I understand what it's doing. But this goes back to me getting more information. I would read it from here and make sure that my visualization was less than this. And maybe up here that it was more or different, or even just get more information. Be like, man, this looks like it's breaking the same. And if it is, why? Maybe another slope comes in here. Maybe there's, from this angle, maybe it straightens out at the hole, whereas that putt breaks the whole way.
Yeah.
But it's, again, I am visualizing what's happening, but not in like a Bagger Vance. Have you seen The Legend of Bagger Vance?
I've heard of it. What is that?
How have you never seen that? It's a golf movie. You should watch it.
I need to watch it.
It kind of falls in your category of visualization. But
Okay.
But yes, I would visualize it after I go through my process and pick my starting line. And like, let's say the line was aimed, let's just say I decided that the read was right there.
Yeah.
Yes, I am picturing, so standing back here, I'm picturing my ball starting on that line and then gradually breaking straight into the hole. So yes, but not in the sense of taking away the importance of aim.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Starting line. Because some people they read putts a different way. They might read the highest point, right? And then go from there. But I'm not a big fan of that.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of picking a starting line even with the hole and going that route.
Cool.
I'm not an apex putter. Like I think it gets a little complicated and you'd have to read multiple putts instead of just reading starting line.
Cool.
Right? And especially when you introduce green reading techniques, they're based on how much the putt breaks in relation to the hole. Same with the marker, right? It's basing how much this putt breaks based on where it aims. It's not aiming to an apex.
Yeah.
It's aiming to a spot even with the hole, right? It takes all that into consideration. Okay, so we talked about finding low straight off camera a minute ago. And so let's talk about, you asked why that's important. So the reason it's important is because if I know where straight is, I'm gonna know what all the other putts do working towards straight.
Yeah.
Right? So if I knew that was straight, obviously like we talked about, this would go left to right. Finding straight, you don't have to find straight if your ball is, say, way over here. You don't have to, because we know that putt goes this way, right? But finding low straight is important for a lot of different reasons, including if we had a putt above the hole. You know, this is this is something I see a lot with juniors, is they have a putt and they miss the putt, right?
Yeah.
So they miss it and they're watching it, and it's breaking quite a bit. Let's just say it's breaking quite a bit one way.
Yeah.
Well, the important part is that ball, when it passed the hole, is trying to find the lowest point in this channel.
Yeah.
It's trying to find that, right? So let's say that the ball came in, we missed it, and it was going this way, and then it broke all the way like this, okay?
Yeah.
It's really easy for people to watch what it did and think this putt breaks a lot that way.
Yeah.
But the fact is that ball was trying to find the straightest putt.
Yeah.
So it doesn't break the same going back uphill that it did coming downhill because it's now closer to straight. Does that make sense?
No, 100%.
That's one of the most important things. When people hit a putt past the hole and they watch it, a lot of them don't make the next one. They overread the next one.
I see.
The reason they overread it is because they don't take into consideration that ball is trying to find the lowest point. So it's not that the ball needs to go back up on the same angle.
Yeah.
It's now that angle would actually decrease because the ball is now closer to straight.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So back to finding low straight. So there's a couple different ways we could do it. Number one is we could stand at our ball and we could take a couple steps and decide if we're going uphill or downhill, right? So like, let's say this were my ball. Is this step uphill or downhill? I would deem, am I going uphill or downhill? So I would tell you that this step right here is downhill, okay? Mm-hmm. This step is flat. This step is a little uphill. I would tell you that this putt right here is dead straight. Pretty darn straight.
That's pretty straight.
Pretty straight,
Yeah.
right? So that's one way, right? Another way is what we talked about earlier, where you would actually come over here and you would find definitive break going one way, and you would read it. Okay, I know this goes left, and I would work off of what I know. Okay, I know it's going left, still going a little left. Okay, I don't know what it's doing. Okay, going a little right. Okay, well then I know back here, somewhere between I know it's going left and it goes right, I know it's straight. Mm-hmm. It has to be.
Yeah.
Right? That's another way. Another way would be the Plum Bob. We're not really gonna get into it because I'm really not a fan of it. I think it's dated. And I think that, have you ever done it?
What is the Plum Bob?
The Plum Bob is,
crazy.
It's something that, it's kind of complicated, and we'd actually have to have a straight, so our putter would need to fall straight up and down, right?
Yeah.
So get your putter, hold your putter where it's dead straight. And it's funny, we think we just hold our putter up and it's straight, but our putter only hangs straight in almost one position, right? So see the American flag?
Yeah. So I guess this is straight.
So that's straight right there?
Yep.
Let me check.
Ish.
It needs to be dead straight.
Yeah.
And this is, we're not even going to talk about it because you're literally proving why we should do it, right?
Yeah.
My putter has to, so see how my putter is hanging right here?
Yeah.
In order for me to Plum Bob, my putter would have to be in this exact position every single time. Because if I turn it like this, it's no longer straight up and down. So let me see your putter. So you see the flagpole?
Yep.
Okay, so I would tell you your putter is straight, just like that. So yours is actually a lot easier than mine. But watch, so hold it up just like that to the flagpole.
Yep.
Now twist it a tiny bit. You see how it doesn't hang straight anymore?
Yeah.
The Plum Bob, in order to use a Plum Bob, what it does is you would hold, the putter would be perfectly straight. You would put it over the ball and over the hole, and it would allegedly tell you the direction of the putt. I've tested it with my students. Some of them get it right, some of them get it wrong. To me, it's just not worth doing.
Yeah.
Because I think there's better ways to do it now, right?
Yep.
I think that was an old school way that I have seen amazing putters use it, right? Like, let's be very clear. I've played with some guys who use it religiously, and they are amazing. And I can't do it. I don't know why. I don't teach it because it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sit there and tell somebody else to do it when it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
So, but what does work for me is walking uphill this way, taking steps this way, I should say, and figuring out where I'm bottoming out, taking a look here to see which way this putt goes, taking a look over there, so on and so forth, right? The straight putt is the hardest putt in golf. Why?
Because you're indecisive that it's going straight.
Let's say you knew it was straight, right? And so we're on the subject of green reading. If you knew that this putt was dead straight, why would it be harder for you to make this putt than it would be for you to make this putt?
I don't know.
So if you think about this, if this putt were dead straight, the hole's 4¼ inches wide, right?
Yep.
I would have to hit it inside that no matter what. Whether I hit it soft or I hit it hard, if it's straight, it has to go there.
Yeah.
Well, if I have a putt that's breaking left to right, the hole's still 4 1/4 inches wide, right?
Yep.
However, I could hit it a little further left and hit it softer, and it would go in. I could hit it perfect, 1.5 foot by, 15 inches by, and it go in. Or I could hit less break, and I could hit it harder, and it would still go in.
Gotcha.
Therefore, you can make a mistake on a breaking putt and still make it by hitting it a little too soft or a little too hard.
Gotcha.
If you don't hit this ball straight in the hole, whether you hit it soft or hard, it doesn't matter. It's not going in.
Yeah.
That's why the straighter the putt, the harder it is to make, right?
Yeah.
Because your margin for error gets smaller and it's no longer dependent on speed. It's purely dependent on line. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And that goes back to why it's important to find it when you're near it. Now, how many times in the last couple rounds of golf have you had a putt that was dead straight?
None. Maybe one when it was 2 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Highly unlikely. However, but what I will tell you is, it is also important, you bring up a 2-footer or a 3-footer.
Yeah.
It's important to still go through your process and understand where low straight is if you're near it.
Yeah.
Because the difference between hitting a putt inside left and left edge is significant.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you read it straight, or if you read it left edge and it's actually straight, you will miss that putt by hitting it left edge, right?
Yeah.
It'll lip out.
Would you say something like, if I'm like here, like pretty close, like just play it straight and just always be relatively firm, or play it as is?
Because it goes back to the whole idea that the harder we hit a putt, the smaller the hole gets.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the people who do that don't know what the putt is doing. If I gave you the read every time, if I was your caddy here and I lined your ball up and I did all the work for you, right? Like let's do it. So I'm gonna be your caddy. I'm gonna line your ball up. Okay, so I want you to hit this ball and I want you to think 12 to 15 inches by. So go ahead and hit it. Your job is strictly to just roll the ball on line. That's it. Why'd you miss it?
I might have hit it on the toe a little bit.
We also hit it 30 inches, 33 inches by.
Yeah.
The point though is that if you knew the read every time,
Yeah.
right? Then why would we try to hit a putt harder or softer instead of maximizing the width of our hole?
I see. Got it.
Why would we do it?
Yeah.
It goes back to that whole, should we play different putts, different speeds?
Gotcha.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. Now, that being said, I know some tour pros that hit short putts very firm and they are very successful doing it.
Yeah.
So it also gets tied into that whole confidence thing, right? If you were super confident and you had a putt that was right edge and it was only 3 feet, and you're like, you know what? Nope, I'm super confident I'm gonna hit my line every time. I'm gonna hit it right center. I'm not gonna sit here and tell an amazing tour pro who doesn't miss a putt inside 4 feet that they should play more break and hit it softer. I'm not gonna tell them that.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about the difference between a tour pro and an amateur, right?
Yeah.
An amateur, we're talking about them not hitting their putt perfect every single time. Therefore, we need to be maximizing the width of the hole.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
And while we're on that, let's actually hit some short putts, because I do want to talk about that, and I do also want to kind of see where you're at with controlling speed on these putts, because you bring up an interesting point. Like, it is very important to control speed. We'll go here to here. It is important for you to control speed on these short putts so that you maximize capture rate. You maximize the width of the hole.
Okay.
Right?
So go through the process?
The whole process.
2.
I find that a lot of my students, they don't necessarily use the marker here.
Yeah.
You know, they don't, because in a way, on these putts, they don't want to take away their feel. It's something that you're going to kind of experiment with.
Okay.
So you can, I would recommend trying it, but if you find that when you get in here, it's messing with your mind and maybe giving you too much information, then I want you to just kind of back off of it. Just use it as a ball marker. You don't need to use it as a tool to aim.
Okay, gotcha.
So, I mean, and we could test it today, right now. You can aim it. You can aim it straight. You can go through the process. You can use the marker. And maybe we find out. Maybe we find out, hey, you know what? I don't like the marker for a 5-footer. 5 feet and in, I don't like using it. 6 feet and in, I don't like using it. Whatever it works for you, right? Because, again, this is about you creating your own process.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the same as anyone else. This is for whatever works for you to make more putts.
Okay. Let's see.
What are you playing it on?
This is 5 feet. I'm playing it on 1.5
Is that set up on a 1?
here. It's 1.5. I'm gonna
Okay.
play it. I'm gonna play it 1 actually.
Comfortable?
No, 1.5. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Let's test it. So 5 footer, you playing it pretty level?
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 footer. Good. So and again, you hit it a little soft,
Yeah, I got hesitant with
but
the downhill.
and it went in on the right side.
Yeah.
So the read was good. I mean, even if you hit that ball to here, it was still going to go in the middle, right? It went in a little low because you hit it a little soft.
Yeah.
But your read was perfect. So maybe for you, the marker is going to be, maybe it's going to be amazing, right? Maybe you don't have to not use it inside 5 feet. Maybe for your system, you use it everywhere.
Yeah.
We don't know. The one thing that you can say is, well, if I use the marker, it's just confirming my aim. It's helping my aim, right? Because if we're all about aim, right? So like, let's say that I aim my ball and I get back here and I go through the process and it's perfect. And then I put my marker down, right? Well, now you actually have an extra tool to help aim. So even if I read this putt straight, I now have 2 ways to aim.
Mm-hmm.
I have the marker and I have the ball.
Yeah.
So then maybe that's something big for you, because before I met you, you really struggled with aim.
100%.
So maybe this is just something else that gives you more confidence in aiming where you intend to aim.
Yeah.
And in that aspect, maybe you use it everywhere,
Yeah.
you know? But what I would tell you again is, this goes back to the idea that this marker just is a tool that you put in your toolbox and you use when you need to create your own system to become an incredible green reader.
Cool.
And this is step 1, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just learning the basics. You're learning direction, you're learning slope. We haven't talked about double breakers. We haven't talked about how much less you'd play uphill, how much more you'd play downhill. We haven't talked about any of that stuff. And we will, but let's start here. Go through your routine over and over and over again. And again, I want you practicing this on the practice screen, not to a hole all the time. Finding slope, teaching yourself to see slope, right? Whatever course you play, whether it's Singing Hills, whether it's Mission Trails, whether it's here, whatever you're doing, you need to be gaining knowledge on training your eye to see slope. You need to be able to come up here and be like, okay, you know what? My first instinct is this is a what?
Right to left.
Right to left, how much?
1.5.
1.5. First instinct, boom. Then what you do is you test it. You put the marker down, you put it on a 1.5, you test it. You do it over and over and over again, and you learn. Be like, okay, you know what? My eyes were perfect there. That is a 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do it again over there, and you're like, okay, I know it's more than a 1.5, because if you're really good at a 1.5, then you're obviously going to know if something is more or less.
Yeah.
So then if you're good at a 1.5, you could be like, well, this is more than a 1.5. This is a 2. This is more than a 1.5. This is a 3.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. How much more is it than a 1.5?
Yeah.
That's how you become better and better and better. And then as you do that, you're going to know the putts you struggle on. Do you struggle on putts that are under a 1?
Yeah.
Do you struggle on 3s? Then we talk about why. And we dive into like, okay, maybe this is why. Maybe what's happening is you're not matching your speed to the line that you pick because you're not actually understanding the uphill and downhill once the putt starts going left, right, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But again, it's all part of this. Our goal is just to kind of get this much better every time I see you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'd love for you to do this, right? But if you did that, you would be skipping steps and you wouldn't be creating this foundation that you're going to be able to use forever.
Yeah.
Right? And
That
so
makes sense.
the goal is for you to just, I know that you want to know a lot of information. Like, you want to know the percent uphill, the percent down, but I think that it's ignorant to try to learn all that right now.
Yeah.
Because I think you need to learn this.
Yeah.
It's like crawling before you walk. I think you need to learn this. The marker is a tool to help you do that. Then we go. Then we take the next step. And then we take the next step. And then before you know it, you now know every green reading technique.
Yeah.
And you know how to read double breakers, and you know how to read every putt there is, right? But this is the first step from a green reading standpoint.
Awesome. Sounds good, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good to
Hey, Jerome here. I'm so excited to share all of the new things we are building at Caddy AI and for you to be part of the journey, because this channel isn't anything without you. So if you have already checked out caddyai.io and joined the waitlist, check out this video down below. YouTube recommended me to share it with you. They said you would love it. See you there.